Hello, hello, welcome to the reading today, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So, we're dealing with a very interesting message today. It's dealing with complex or even challenging emotions. And instead of having a shuffle and a pick a card for the pick a pile message or to direct you to a reading, I've selected 3 cards here for 3 piles. And so it'll help channel or help you pick better to how you've been feeling recently. It is a new month, so there's lots of energy around. There's the Lion's Gate also that people sometimes will work with in manifestation and many other things. So it's a good time to like shake out some of the cobwebs, let's say, and get into the real essence of you to help you master or utilize this energy at this time. So let's take a look at the piles. So for pile number 1, you've got transform anger. So it's going to be touching on more of the anger side. However, whatever comes through is going to come through. Now, just so you know about all the piles, this may not always pertain to you, but it may be an energy that you're in. Could be spouse, could be family, could be work, anything like that. But my intention is to focus it in a message for you as you get this reading for all the piles. So pile number 1, card number 34, which is transform anger. For pile number 2, you have release fear, card number 25. And lastly, pile 3, you have break addiction, card number 5. So quick introduction today. As always, go straight to your video if you know exactly which one's calling to you. There may be a message that really will help you with your day-to-day life or even your own internal solar system, right? Your own internal functionings, your own internal clockwork, let's say, to help you deal or even process or just recognize what's going on within me. All right, down in the description below, you can jump straight to your video by clicking on the timestamp that correlates with the correct pile for you. Other than that, I'll give you some time and I'll see you in your message. Hello, hello, welcome to your reading pile number 1. So you've chosen the anger card or transforming anger. So we'll have a look at this kind of energy that may be in your life. There's a lot of stuff that's out there that's triggering, right? Back in the day, we may not have known what's happening over here or here in the world or this or that or whatever. Now we have, a much more connected world. And in the positive sense is more information, and in the negative sense is manipulation of the information that comes in. May not be incorrect, but if I only show someone horror movies all the time, that's going to be pretty heavy. I remember watching, what is that show called? Special Victims Unit. And when you've watched like 1 or 2, it's like, okay, you get a vibe of it. But if you try to watch like a whole season in a sitting, it's pretty heavy and it ends up weighing on you, right? It's like, it's not real. It's fiction, what's happening. However, that energy, even if it's real or not, still has an impact because, stories like that or similar to that can exist out there. So this anger may not be even something that you've been through. It can be, but it could be even just the energy of what's around and maybe what you're consuming. Be very, very aware of what you're consuming. Not just food, right? What you're consuming digitally as well. Okay, so I have, these are the cards here. I'm going to bring through a few different oracle cards to just get an idea of where we're going to be heading with this message, and then the how-to, because I want this to be like, actually, what can you do, or what's the first steps to initiate, and then as you walk down that path, it's going to be individually catered to you because you're the recipient, right, of this message, but you're also the master of the path, let's say. Master seems to be coming through a lot. I don't know why I keep saying master about everything, but I guess we're going through a mastery time. Maybe that's how it's coming through. This is not to control the anger, but to recognize it, appreciate it, and disperse it in a way, or even transform it into something where it's empowering, right? Fire can be either something that burns us or something that helps us. It's utilizes as like passion and creation, right? Cooking, food, that kind of thing. So let's have a look. Grab some cards for you today. Hopefully your August is going well as well, everybody. Let's go here. Nope, here. Okay. Today is the 4th of the 8th, where I am recording this now. 4:49 p.m. And I'm also listening. I keep forgetting to say it in the introduction, but part ones you always get the message. But I'm listening to Cortisol Detox Sound Bath. It's this guy on YouTube, Healing Vibrations. He always has, or doesn't always, but he usually has like a cat just sitting there. I thought it wasn't real. I thought it was like just a screen, but it moves around a lot, and I'd never noticed it because it only moves subtly until you like skip a few hours through. But he does this with sound bowls, and it's for anxiety and stress relief. So this is what's coming through. Okay, let's see. I'll take this one as well. So first of all, I'm going to start with the, kind of like an overview. Because while this is for you, there's also other people. So that's why it's really important to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Okay, you're getting 3 here. Just going to leave some space. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to put it here anyway. All right, let's take a look at your cards. So dealing with challenging or complex emotions around anger. So your first card is the Chimera and Alpha Omega, which is truth, cycles, pathways. Cycles takes me on a idea of a loop, right? It's kind of like you've been maybe not in this exact path. I don't think anyone goes through the same path. Like, let's say we have multiple lives and we can see them all, and one kind of story goes, is in the 1800s, and so it has that kind of theme, but they go in a cycle with like a particular person, and it's a difficult, challenging thing. And then maybe in 1920s, and then today, that kind of thing. And we can see, when you're on the outside looking in, you're watching a movie or something, you can see a lot more of the information, right? You get to see what the other people are thinking, especially if you're reading a book, you get to feel their emotions, you get to see it. So it's so much easier for us to be like, oh, just do this, they like you, they don't like you, right? They're using you, or they're just like whatever. But when you're in it, it's so much different. And so this is coming through the Chimera and Alpha Omega with this is a cycle. This is an opportunity to break a cycle. Could even be something internal that you've mulled over with, and every time it comes back, you get an opportunity to release a portion or a part of it. This could be a good time to release the whole thing, to let go of the whole thing, which will ripple out throughout lifetimes. I've seen sometimes, even when I've worked on stuff within myself, how it's impacted different lifetimes. I can't see the whole life, right? But I can sense like, this helps here, and whatever they're doing there is helping me too. So it's all connected, right? It's all connected. So this is it's a good opportunity to be real about it, to maybe even acknowledge it. It's like, this happened and I felt like this. That's how I felt. And then recognize that anger and rage, and we'll see what else comes through. It's like recognizing the anger and rage, and then I guess accepting that situation happened, and I now no longer need to hold on to this rage because it's causing me inflammation or like, physical pain, or even psychological or mental kind of stress. Oop, have these upside down. Have faith. I like that. That's it's like a really nice card, right? It's just like, just because you can't do everything today, that does not mean that you are chained to a particular type of feeling or a particular type of anger forever. Right now might be like, I don't see how I can get through or over this particular event because of how it's impacted me, like living in the past type idea, right? Well, this happened to me in the past, so I'm going to take this into the future. It's too heavy of a load to bring into a lighter atmosphere, right? It's too heavy, so it must be released, but it has to be clear and honest. And when you do that, or believe that, right, you know that that's the path forward. Just because you can't do it all today doesn't mean you're failing or not doing it. It's got to be honest, and it's got to be real. Like, this is like all about realness. Today we're getting into the realness of it all. You've got the procrastination. Procrastination's interesting, especially next to pathways. It's kind of like, I realize that this is how I feel and what's happening, and yada yada yada. And I know that this will be the right path, but there's something with like stalling here. The procrastination is thinking about it, and then what do they call it? Analysis paralysis is popping up in my head. It's like, well, instead of dealing with it, I might just watch a card reading online. Like, maybe even this card reading is distracting you from what you need to do. I kind of laugh because it's just funny the way I'm looking at it. It's like, whose card reading is that? Is this one? I don't know. But maybe it's like, oh, I know I need to like process this or deal with this, but instead I'm just going to go do this, or I'm just going to go do that. I'm going to distract myself with either earthly things or even spiritual things as well. And your spiritual health is perfect. If you're getting this reading, your spiritual health is perfectly fine to deal with this in some sense. But remember, this is not a pill that just clears everything. This is actually a perfect time to deal with this. Deal with this energy. If it's somewhere else, like external, same thing. Same message. This is time to flee, or like maybe like confront, or maybe just leave, or like to process internally. There's like many different paths, right? That's why the chimera is here. The chimera is the separation, the kind of like bits and pieces of different animals. It's kind of like the different ways, but still connected to the same body. It's still part, like all these lives, right, that are maybe lived are still part of the same soul. Okay. You've got learning, which says rejected and accepted. Don't have too much to say about that. Learning could be like lessons, right? What did I gain from this? It's really hard when it's like you go through challenging connections, relationships, people, abuses, all that kind of stuff, right? And then someone comes along right at the end, like maybe not at the end, but at the start, but talking about the end result or end processes. It's like, I'm not there yet, but just so you know, it gets to a point where you have to, we don't have to, you can hold on to it, but to release it, you have to release it. You have to be like, I am glad that that's no longer happening, but I learned this lesson, and I know that I don't need to relearn this lesson again, and I release it so it no longer is something that impacts. So it's almost like thanking, not exactly thanking the abuse, but thanking myself that I'm able to move beyond what I've been through, and I will no longer let the past be something that defines my present. I'm trying to word it quite nicely, but essentially it is releasing it to no longer be controlled by the past or controlled by one particular emotion, right? You've got judgment, which is critical and complimentary. It's a really interesting picture with this lady at the beach. It's like, again, it feels like distractions, right? It's kind of like, well, I'm enjoying myself going to the space and being able to deal with everything. But here with the fish flying, it's kind of like, that's fine as long as you are not, you're allowed to take breaks, right? This isn't something to keep you stuck or just like keep you fixated on one thing. But it's like the emotions, like the fish kind of reminds me of Pisces, which are generally seen as pretty emotional, right? Pretty emotional, like an emotional sign. But it's like this is almost like a blessing to deal with this, like this. I don't know. It feels like a very masculine energy, which is kind of interesting. I was talking about emotions, but maybe it's like caused from the masculine, maybe it's wounded masculine, maybe it's wounded feminine from the masculine side, right? Like through a masculine or person. I don't know. There's something there with that. But there's these two cards with the learning and judgment is not to criticize, not to be critical of self or others. This is about an honest, pure release. But remember, one step at a time. Have faith that you will get there. Know that this is something that will never happen again in any lifetime, as long as I decide to release it today or release it in time, right? When I say today, I mean like I sign the contract of, yes, I'm going to release this energy. And so I'm going to take the first step into that. Because there's no point thinking, well, I can't get to here when we haven't taken the first step. It takes time, right? It's kind of like, you're thinking you have to learn a language in one day. It's like, no, they're not saying you have to learn a language in one day, but you will learn the language, but you're not going to get to, lesson or like level 10 by starting at level 10. You have to start at level 1. Knowledge, yeah, you got learning and knowledge, right? Knowledge is power, ignorance, and knowing. There's this idea of like blinding. This has to be felt. If you really want to transform this anger, you have to recognize it, release it, and have that as your intention. Really good time with the Lionsgate, right? Fire with Lion, with Leo, I guess. And lions usually represent like strength, right? And royalty, regalness, like claiming back sovereignty, that kind of energy. So it's a really good time. If you're watching this in a future sense and you haven't, and like the Lionsgate's closed or anything, see this as like what do you call it? I'm thinking of time warp, which is just making me think of Rocky Horror, but like a wormhole. Where you can tap into that energy now with this reading, with this message. And if you're watching it now, then, more power to you. Lionsgate is open for many more days. Okay, so how do you start this? How do you start this journey of learning and lessons and knowledge? How do you start? You have to recognize it. You have to recognize where you are, how you got there, how the energy makes you feel. Acknowledgement is going to be key first. Acknowledgement. I'm just trying to see if I want to put it in somewhere else. Lots of pentacles. This is like a very realistic message, realistic message. You got the Two of Pentacles and the Knight of Pentacles. So 5 of Pentacles, 2 of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles. This is how we start. you have to dedicate some space and time to this. It's almost like dedicating space and time to freedom, right, or to work-life balance, right? You have to like plan that out. And you've got the Knight of Pentacles also here to help plan that out. And it's like a recognition of what isn't working, where I am feeling this, that, or the other, because you don't want it to transform into a different type of issue or a different type of thing where it becomes a projection of an inner wound, right? That kind of thing. So this is like a very calm recognition. It's not so much procrastinating, because this is the how we start. Procrastination doesn't like mean the opposite, which is just charging in. These aren't charging in. No one here is charging. Even the Knight might be a Knight, but it's the Pentacle guy, right? He's the one. I mean, it's the beaver. So it's like, it takes time to construct. It takes time to plan. They're like the little city planners of the river, I guess. Got to feel it. This is tough. But you got to feel it. Got to acknowledge the loss, or maybe even the time, and no longer hold on to criticism, blame, whether that's towards others or self, because sometimes it does turn and it goes through a process, especially anger, of blaming this person and then getting past that and then switching that into yourself. This transforming anger isn't about diverting the anger. It's about transforming it, right? Which is going to be a long process by the looks of it. And that's okay, because the acknowledgement and recognition of where I am and why I don't want to be here will help you be like, okay, well, where do I want to be? I know where I don't want to be, which is maybe here holding on to whatever I'm feeling, this rage, this kind of whatever it is. And you're in a blessed time with these cards coming through. Like, this is a good crossroads to make some decision. I want to see if there's anything else they want to bring through. This is a great foundation with the lessons and learning. It's like, turn the learnings into knowledge, right? Knowledge is power. Turn the lessons into wisdom. Turn it into that. No longer have to judge or criticize self or others. It's easy to blame, but blame doesn't solve the issue, right? Kind of reminds me of the Star card, having faith, a belief that there's something better than what I'm experiencing or how I'm feeling. The energy doesn't disappear. It moves by will, right? By claiming sovereignty. There's something with sovereignty here. I know Queen came out, but there's some kind of like sovereignty or gaining back your power, not through any other way than through it. So when I say through it, the way it's showing me is like, I acknowledge it. I'm going to feel some of that again, maybe that rage again. And I'm going to maybe even blame and just be angry and let it rage, right, for a bit, internally, or just like in a mindful setting. Maybe if it's internal, you kind of separate yourself from the situation and just observe it, because it keeps coming back to like a book to me or a movie. And that usually means we're on the outside, right? We can see the person in the horror film running upstairs and we're like, no, don't run upstairs, right? That kind of thing. Of course, they're going to, like, what are you going to do then? But, when you're in it, you can't always make the right decision or what feels right. You're reacting. It's a lot of quick reactions because you're dealing with like, a horror friggin' thing, person, whatever. Michael Myers coming in. Nobody's going to have time to plan, but you're not in fight or flight right now. You're in a like sacred space is how it comes through, of like, okay, I need to recognize this as something that's within me or that I'm around, right? Especially if we now shift it to like external people. This is a toxic situation. I live my life. It might be hard at first to break away from this, but I don't want to go forever or for the next 30 years in that same kind of energy. A little pain now for a prosperous future is better than a very clear path of something I don't want to feel anymore. I think that's going to be it. I want to grab a card though. What do I want to grab a card for? I'm going to grab the top 3 cards. I think this is like a message for someone. Okay. I've got the 4 of Swords, 9 of Swords. Lots of stress, eh? Lots of stress. And you've got the 6 of Swords. Damn, swords, swords, swords. A lot to think about and consider. Give yourself some space with this. This reading isn't to push you or force you into anything. It's actually to empower you, to remind you of your power and not be, caught up in fear. There's a really good card in another deck I have where it's like the polar bear is looking at the ice caps in this 9 of Swords, and she's fearful quite clearly. I mean, you don't know, but what the energy of it is she's looking at the icebergs melting and recognizing that this environment is changing and it may be harder or it may be more difficult, right? And her cub that she has, which she has to provide for, is just chill and sleeping and is not even worried. But they're both in the same environment, and sometimes it can be like, well, that's because she's aware of her surroundings and it is going to be tough. But worrying about like that kind of stuff is a potential of what could happen. Being aware of it and making smart decisions and choices with that knowledge is really where we're going to have to be, or where it's going to be better to be in. But I'm getting like, take your time with this, recognize and honor your feelings and even your fears and worries. Maybe you even want to look at the fear one, the reading that will come up in time that I'll read after this pile. And this is the moving on. There's no moving on through like sunshine and lollipops, right? It's moving on or going to the next phase by honesty with how you feel about certain things, with real honesty. There's, in New Zealand, I can't remember what it's called. It's a Māori word. But like when they have tangies, which is like a funeral, it's pretty much a funeral, but it's different. But anyway, in New Zealand, like mourning, when people are mourning, not the mourning, but like mourning the loss, there's this idea of wailing, like almost like very strongly, like letting it all out, like almost screaming. In more Western or like, let's say, white society, it's you're allowed to mourn your losses, but it's usually quite controlled, right? There's like then no one's getting hysterical, or people would call it out, or maybe just be like, oh, the poor thing, or like, oh, this is very awkward, right? That kind of thing. Well, from what I remember growing up in New Zealand, the woman would let it all out, like let it all out, release it in that kind of way. They would be like wailing, as all I can kind of compare it to. And it was a good way to like really honor the emotions, and instead of bottling them up or turning, like, if you've watched Desperate Housewives and you've seen Brie Vanderkamp, right, put it into a little box and put it into the cupboard, right? I think she said that on one of her things. I haven't watched it for a long time, but she was very controlled, right, trying to control everything. And anyone that tries to over control life is going to get slapped, right? With reality of like, you can't control everything. And so that's some way to release it. It ends up blowing up, and it's like when you put a Mentos in a Coke or whatever bottle, it just bursts. So this was one way to really honestly let it out, and that's how this is feeling. The only way to deal with this feeling, this anger, these emotions, is to feel it. It's through it. It's like you have to go through the so-called fire to get to the other side. You can't go around it. But take your time. There is no rush. This is a good time, though, to do that. But free will. Take your time. Pick whichever path, whichever pathway is right for you. Okay, interesting reading. Really nice one. Thank you very much for letting me read for you today, pile number 1. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. Otherwise, take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself and others. And I will see you in the next reading. Hello, hello. Welcome to your reading pile number 2. So, straight into your message, you've got release fear. So, we're talking about fear, things that maybe even keep us paralyzed or keep us cold. It's going to be a stark difference from pile number 1, which felt like, anger, fire. This is talking about judgment, even criticism. But I feel like we're going into the way it's coming through in my mind is like we're diving into the shadow, we're diving into the darkness. It's like sometimes we hide in the darkness, or the energy hides in the darkness because we're worried about, well, what if this happens and that leads to this and this leads to that, and then we look at our process map, right, of our decision making, and we've come to a conclusion through a whole lot of ifs and buts. So with that, I'm going to grab some cards, of course, and we'll see. So focusing on the emotion or the energy of fear. This can be a collective fear as well. I'm going to say what I said in the last pile, and be very mindful of what you consume. And when I say consume, I mean like what you take into your body, what you absorb as truth, whether it's true or not. I was looking at one thing, and I think it was like a TikTok or something like that. I don't go on TikTok, but they come through on Instagram, and I saw it on Instagram, and it just was like an AI thing, but it was meant to spark people's anger, rage, that kind of stuff, right? Worries. We already get enough of that from the news. We don't need fake stuff, and it's not AI's fault, right? AI is just a tool. It's the people that are trying to, I guess, trick people into believing that that's what's happening, whether it is or isn't. And you can get that from the news as well. May not be AI, but if I show you a video of, I only allow you to watch horror, you're going to have that imprint of that fear or worry is going to be imprinted on you. So this is just being very mindful of your energy and aware of how you're feeling. Because living in fear doesn't have to be your default. Okay. Cool. Let's take a look at your tarot card, well, your oracle cards, and then I'll grab some tarot cards. So this is going to be kind of like the overview, or this is just going to be a message, and this is going to be the how-to, or how do I prepare or start this journey. You've got Star Child and Fire Arrow. This is a really lovely message, actually. Multifaceted visions and star seeds. The lovely energy that comes from this is like this is just one point in time, or one kind of, what is it coming through with? Something just moved to the left of me, which is really weird. It looked like a hand. Anyway, I'm just going to ignore that. It's like, this energy that comes through this is just one life. This is just one point in time in life, right? Where this one thing's happening. Everything, what is that quote in that book? It's like nothing stays golden, right? Everything is always moving. You might be at the peak or the lowest point in your life. Just know that is always going to be transforming and moving, because life is always evolving. We're growing older, the earth is, growing older, everything's moving and spinning, and there's like whatever comets and things flying around, all that stuff. It's always, everything's in motion. And so it's like, just know that right now you might feel a certain particular way or have fear of the future or certain things, but just know this too shall pass. That's how it comes through. You're having so many more experiences than just this. That doesn't take away from the importance of it, but it helps put it into perspective of like, there's a lot going on, and you're not here to fix everything or even fix anything, right? You're here to live your life. You've got say what you mean. Say what you mean is like being very honest with how you're feeling. You're allowed to have anxiety, stress, fear, all that kind of stuff. The point where it becomes, I guess, difficult or draining is if it becomes your reality, right? The person that I didn't force anyone to watch horrors, but the analogy of forcing someone to always watch horrors, that becomes their reality. If they just step away from the TV and look around, that is not what's happening, right? 24/7. That may be a part of what's happening in your reality or in the world, but it's not canon, or it's not the default. It's just what I keep consuming or keep feeling or keep believing. It's like when you watch news and you get that information and you only talk to these people about the same thing, and so you're just perpetuating the story, the narrative. Be very okay with stepping away from technology for even an hour or two. I know sometimes some people are like, you didn't message me and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, calm down, right? It's like, I have a life outside of technology. Wild, yeah, they want you to go out, like almost like live freely. But this is really interesting, because wild makes me think of rewilding self. It's no longer being chained or being tied to a story or a play or something that's going on. You may have already had a life like this or a feeling like this at this point in your life, where you've had this in the past. It's not the exact situation, but this kind of like energy. It doesn't even have to be fear it's coming through. It's just like this shadow or this weight of some sort. And they want you to be honest and authentic with what it is internally and let it free. Live freely. Especially from the inside. The outside's like a reflection of the inside sometimes. Okay. You also have receptivity, dissatisfied and grateful, being very open. Openness and honesty is really important here, especially with self. Right? Say what you mean to self. Be open and receptive, being open to receiving the information, or being open to like letting out the information, like open the channels of gift and like giving and receiving as well, like that kind of energy. It's all, I don't know, it feels like they want you to like remember who you are as a soul, as a being, not just this one feeling or instance is going to be, what is it, the cornerstone of who you are. This is just a space and time at this time, a moment in time. You've got cultivation, neglect, and nurtured. It does feel like it is time to awaken a part of you. It's going to be a bit tricky, and I say that because I'm getting like the idea of potentially some connections and relationships may shift and change. And that's okay. It is difficult when we're like, oh, why does this relationship have to end? But believe me, it's going to be for the best. Some people need to stay where they are because that's what's right for them. But that doesn't mean you have to stay there because just other people are there. You're being, I guess, gifted and offered an opportunity to transform and evolve. Neglected and nurtured. And going back into the message of fear, it could have stemmed from this kind of feeling, right? This kind of feeling of, I chose this, like, let's put an example out there. I chose this marriage and I stayed in it even though like something wasn't working, because I didn't want to feel neglected, or I didn't want to feel, I don't want to be alone. But you can be in a crowded group of people that are your friends, let's say, and still feel alone. So the outward circumstances don't always mean the inward feeling. The inward feeling comes from the choices from within and without. But they're not, what is it? They're not gifted, or they're not dictated from the outside. I don't know how to word it properly. But think about that, because I can't think of the word. All right, so we've got structure, which is kind of funny because we've got the Hierophant, and this Hierophant is not the usual Hierophant, right? This is like a 80s looking aerobics instructor. I remember aerobics back in the day. I never went, but I remember going to the gym with my mum, and she would do aerobics from time to time, which was, I don't know, funny outfits, let's just say that. Although I guess these days some of the outfits are quite unique, let's say. Hierophant is like, how do you start this? Create a structure for yourself, because fear and anxiety and stress and that kind of stuff can pull us into so many different angles, right? So having boundaries within ourselves, like, okay, for me, I'm not going to, if I start feeling like this, I'm not going to criticize it, but I am going to recognize, is this actually happening in my reality right now? Do I need to be thinking or going along this path? No? Okay, pull myself back into why I'm here, what I'm doing right now. You might be just cutting vegetables or whatever, right? But the mind just goes off onto this like fear of like, well, what if this happens, then this happens to the kids, and this happens to this, and that's going to happen, and then I won't have any of this. Maybe I should build a shelter, right, for something, you know, whatever. You get into like spiral mode. Have a clear path and clear boundaries for self and also for others as well. Oh, the Chariot. Yeah, this is a really good time to go on this journey. I do like the black and white. Usually it's horses, right? But we've got cats here because I guess the camel can cycle. The camel can cycle himself. It's quite a funny imagery. But yeah, this is going to be a journey of like, you just get on the, you have to get on the bike and just start cycling. That's how you start. You have a plan, you get on the bike and start cycling. Also, you know, the Hierophant can be leaders or instructors, so it could be finding a mentor or a guide that assists. They're not going to do it for you. No one's going to do anything for you but you. But there are, you know, kind of like what's popping up is like guides or angels even that pop up at times to tell you something. If you're not getting the message clearly from them, just tell them. Make it clearer. Make it clearer. Make it very clear. Make it pretty damn clear, right? Make it very, very, very transparent of what message you're trying to bring through. Why not? If it's not coming through in a way that's consumable, then ask. Same with like a therapist or whatever, ask them. Be like, this is what I want. Be very clear. You know, say what you mean is coming out. Be very, very clear. The Lovers. You got the Lovers card coming through. Take note of your connections. Because, you know, you've got cultivation here and nurtured. Your connections are really important, it feels like. Your health is really important too. Your body's really important. And what I mean by that is it's indestructible. I mean, our bodies aren't indestructible, but something's coming through. It's like it's indestructible unless we allow it to destruct. The imagery that's coming through is like a neglected house. We know we need to do this, that, and the other, but the longer and longer we just leave it, you know, the more tired and worn down it gets. So it might be time to just acknowledge and be grateful to your body, to your mind, to your soul, to even your fears that come through sometimes, because they're messages. They're all messages. Okay. And lastly, you have the Ace of Cups. There's something about rebuilding connections. Some of the fears may have come from past relationships, right? And so it's learning to love someone else again, or even love yourself again, that kind of thing. Or maybe being okay with like, okay, I need to heal myself. Some of you may be feeling internal manifestations of some of this energy. Like anger sometimes comes from like something that you can't stomach, right? Stomach ulcers, stomach issues, bowel motions that are like difficult, right? Or you know, something around there, irritable bowel syndrome. It's like not being able to, or the feeling of not being able to process something or stomach something. It's like anger, it could be even in there and that kind of stuff too. You might want to watch that that reading if you choose to, right, if you have time. But this is rebuilding kind of rebuilding foundations of love. I mean, you got 3 majors out of 4 cards, which is quite interesting, and especially with the ace, right? The ace is a beginning. It's a beginning card of learning to love and connect with self. Maybe even honoring, especially here with the Star Child, honoring your past lives or where you've come from. So it could be outside of past lives, right? It could be just this life. Honoring how you've grown. And yes, some stuff has occurred that's heavy, but this is not a time of rolling the dice with that again. This is like an honest, like, okay, I get it. I know I've been through it. I know what's kind of been blocked off and what has been even neglected, and now it's time to pick up the tools and start to honor how I'm feeling with this, recognize what is real and what isn't, and now how do I step through with that? How do I get back to my body, my temple? I mean, even here, right, our health, right? This is what has she got? The llama woman. I think she's got a leek, right? And I think a leek means something in this. I don't know. I can't remember. There's a lot of like nurturing energy. You've got fields here, and while it doesn't necessarily mean that that's wheat, but it's reminding me of wheat, which is like a staple, right? It's like, and even here, this root vegetable, well, it's not a root vegetable, but whatever, the leek. It's like there's something foundational about those things. Like it's nice to have all this like fancy stuff, but like where does it all come back down to? It's like there's root staple foods, and so this is about coming back to even the staples. It could even be like being very aware of what you're consuming food wise as well, because for some reason some of you, it's coming through with like health issues. It's manifesting into health, and fear can do that. It can turn into panic attacks and mental kind of stress, right? That kind of stuff. So this is just, I guess, a reminder of like you are capable. I'm going to pull another 3 cards and then I'll finish off. I feel like they just want to tell you one last thing about this message. You've got the 2 of Swords, the Queen of Cups, and another major, got Judgment. Okay, it's almost like channeling the way it was coming through. It's like, make a decision that honors you and that works for you. Recognize, what's happening out in the world that is important to you, that you need to be aware of, and let it go. Like, it's almost like take it in, let it go. Don't let it consume you and turn into something it doesn't need to be. But the Queen of Cups feels informed, but not emotionally swayed. She almost feels like really, this particular one, the Seal Queen, I don't know why, Seal Queen. Anyway, Seal Queen is like, there's the softness, but there's also this like very much awareness, and almost like the Queen of Swords. It's like a mixture of the Queen of Swords and a Queen of Cups. Like, it's a very nice blend that's coming through. It's like, I have sovereignty and control over my own self. And with that, I don't allow any external influences to blind me or sway me. And you come out like so much more informed and so much more aware and so much more real, like connected to realness, right? The real stuff. Okay, I'm going to leave that there because I feel like I'll just keep blaring on. But I really hope this has helped you with whatever you've been feeling. Because it is a challenging time, right? It's out there. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world. And we are living it and living through it with our own lives as well. We don't need to take on every single little thing, and we don't need to fear and be controlled by, the narrative or the stories that are coming through. We're here to live our lives as much as we are here to help others and serve others in a sense as well. Okay, thank you for letting me read for you today, pal. To look after yourself, take care, and I'll see you next time. Hello, welcome to your reading. Part number 3. So you've got break addictions. This freedom, right? This freedom energy. Addictions is interesting because while it speaks to actual addictions that we normally see, or that culturally or societal wise we associate, like drug, alcohol, etc., food, I don't know, anything else, other thing. I mean, we can be addicted to many different things, but addiction is also either telling yourself a story or believing something that's perpetually keeping you stuck in a cycle. Like, which is pretty much what drugs and alcohol does, right? It's like, I can't feel anything without this, so therefore I need this to feel. And it becomes a belief and a reality. And then breaking that is, you go through withdrawals and stuff like that. But this could be like, I am only worthy of this, and I keep having the same kind of connections with the same kind of people and learning the same kind of lessons. So this is going to help. This is going to help recognize and move beyond that, move beyond cycles. Okay, I'll grab you. So I'm going to grab some oracle cards. I'm also listening to a sound bath, sounds by Healing Vibrations on YouTube. He has like, I don't know, he does this for like hours. It's crazy. And his cat just sits there on this little throne. It's very cute. Anyway, it's called Cortisol Detox Sound Bath, crystal singing bowls, music for anxiety and stress, right? So this may, that energy I'm intending to channel through in this reading as well, so through to you. But just like anything, I could give you something. That doesn't mean you have to or are forced to take it. It's kind of like, someone in the street gives you a sample of like some kind of food. That doesn't mean you have to eat it or drink it, right? I would, but that's me. Might move these over actually. These ones are a little bit glossy, so they shine a bit too much. Oh, okay, you want to jump out. I'll take this one. Okay, let's have a look at your cards. Just gonna find some space. Straighten these out for you. Okay, so you've got the zombie and the VV Zan, repetition, lost souls, right? I'm smiling because like I'm talking about getting stuck in cycles, right? Or even fearing cycles. Repetition, the same thing over and over and over and over again. Lost souls can feel like we get stuck and lost. I remember this woman, what's her name? I shouldn't say this woman, sounds weird. But anyway, this lady I was watching on YouTube, she was doing like I don't know, she has her own hypnosis type thing. And anyway, long story short, she was working with this person and there was like some kind of being, I guess, communicating through the hypnotized person. And they didn't need to be there. They weren't like toxic or bad, but it's just like you don't need to be around, right? It's kind of like a ghost hanging around your house or something that doesn't need to be there. It's not a family member. It's just like, I don't know, a wandering soul. And anyway, she talked to it, and she was like, the beings were like, we don't have a soul, right? We're not connected with anything. We're just nothing type thing. And the lady quite rightly was like, well, I don't believe that's true. Like, that's not true. Everyone and everything is connected in some sense and way. So it's kind of like that belief, like it's become their belief so strongly that they don't even feel like they have a soul, or they don't feel like they even are connected to anything. And then it recognized it and left. Like, it didn't acknowledge what she said as like true. She didn't confirm it, but it kind of woke up something. It's like, how can you be without being connected to something? So it was really interesting. I guess it's just like, sometimes we get really caught in a belief that I can't exist without this. Or like someone's told me I'm not very good at this, and therefore that's become my truth and my reality. when in theory I might be actually brilliant at that, but because everyone's told me that, it's true. I think Eva Longoria had like an interview where, which is kind of crazy, but when she was growing up, she was known as the ugly one, which is insane, right? Because she's quite a beautiful woman. But that's what she was perpetually told and seen as in her family. And so, which was funny because she even won a beauty contest, but then kept getting told, well, just so you know, like, that's fine, but you're the ugly one, right? Like, you can look it up and check out the interviews that she's had about that. It's kind of wild. But, you know, that's her belief. So she ended up saving the money from the beauty contest and traveling and to study and stuff like that. But like that can become a belief, right? It's obviously not her belief now. And I don't know if it really was her belief, but when you get perpetually told something, it's kind of like getting stuck in a cycle as well. Like, it becomes a truth, even if it's not the truth. It becomes your reality when it's not the reality, right? That kind of thing. Anyway, interesting card to come through straight away. It touches on addictions, but it also touches on cycles and repetitions and things we feel like we can't get out of. So that's what we'll be talking about today. Why are these always upside down? Okay. You've got self-love. Yeah, I mean, with that last story, with the Eva Longoria story, right? It's like self-love, right? To trust and believe in the self as being sovereign over the information that's being projected at. People that might even say, oh, you're ugly, you're this, you're that. That's their own issue. That's their own crap that they're projecting onto you. But you have a decision. Do I take that, or do I let it go and be like, I don't need that person, block, you know, whatever. Like, I don't need that energy. I'm not going to stick around just because they think they can say something doesn't mean it's like for me to deal with. And do I even need to educate them? If you want to, go for it. If you don't, just ignore it. There's too many people replying to toxic and toxic things and toxic people, right? Just cut them out. Cut that out. Self-love. I've also got temptation. Oh yeah, it's such an easy cycle, especially if like the message came through as kind of dirty, but like, especially if it's like something that is very familiar, or, you know, some part of it's really good. Stop. But just like, you know, some part of it's good. Some part of it feels comfortable. Like getting stuck into a cycle of like, woe is me type stuff, right? Or like, I never can find a partner, or this, that, or the other. It's like it becomes a cycle over and over again, or a belief, because it's tempting. So it's definitely coming through. Like, you have to, I guess the oracle cards, I mean the tarot cards will say like, how do I start this process? But what I'm getting straight away is like, with the self-love, it's like, I'm going to make a decision. This is for me. I'm making this choice for me. I'm going to disconnect from these people, this area, for me. Just for now. I may reconnect later, but I just need this for me now. Okay. Oh, this came out in part 1, I believe. Judgment, critical, or complimentary. I feel like what's popping up is I watched, I think it's called Mum. And it's about, there's the girl off, it's a TV series, there's a lady off the West Wing and a girl off Scary Movie. Anyway, it's about addiction, essentially, which, perfect. This is about addiction. Alcoholism. And so the judgment card's coming through with critical and complimentary. This isn't about judging self for what you've done. It's owning it, but recognizing that just because you've done something that may not have been in your highest good, or other people's highest good, or even kind or friendly, or other people haven't been kind or friendly towards you, that it doesn't have to be your reality and truth for life, right? It was, but it doesn't have the energy of it doesn't need to be transferred over. This is about, like, this reading is about releasing energy, like releasing old contracts or old stories or just old belief systems, not judging. Like, the judgment here, critical or complimentary, it's like, I acknowledge it as truth in the past, but I don't feel like this is something that I need to continue with in my life. moving forward. So it's like a belief that you can overcome this, basically, that I don't need to tell myself the same old stories, because sometimes some crazy stuff happens, right? These fish are going up, like the emotions are kind of like heightened. Forgiveness of self and others. That's how you overcome all this, essentially. There's this woman on TikTok, YouTube that I see around a lot, and she deals with like a lot of narcissism stuff, and a lot of it I agree with, but there's a strong emphasis on like remaining angry, remaining pissed off, and if that needs to be there, absolutely, but you're allowed to move on from these things. You don't need to stay stuck in them. Like that's kind of living rent free in your mind type thing, or perpetuating a story that has finished, right? Maybe the person's not even on this earth anymore, or maybe the situation's no longer, you've gotten yourself already out of these situations, these toxic situations. So the forgiveness isn't to just say, oh yeah, whatever they did was fine, I want to move on. No, it's about acknowledging it and wanting a better future for self, a better life for yourself. It really is self-love, right? It really is. This is all about becoming more connected with the reality of your life now, with your present, and also with your emotions, with your soul. There's so much that I could just continually go on. And it's like a belief that I can live outside of the past, or outside of the cycles that have already ran through this lifetime. Let it go. That's coming through. You got the Six of Cups, letting go of the past in a way. Acknowledging the past is like a blessing or a curse, or whatever you want to, be real with it, be honest with yourself with it, but recognizing that it is the past. The past is the past, and you're allowed to wake up and grow in a new way. You're allowed to be reborn from the flames. Temperance. Oh, interesting. Temperance, like at a very quick notation, is moderation. But here you can see the infinity symbol by this angel panther lady thing. Anyway, and it's just like this idea of like, I'm going to challenge my own status quo in a way, and be like, one of the other tarot cards that I've seen in the Modern Love Tarot has a assuming family, right? There's this child and two parents, and they're all putting something into the what do you call it? The bowl to make it look like a cake or something like that, but they're all adding their own vibe and spice into it. And so this is like, if I'm stopping, if someone else came along and put in like cups of salt right into it, it's going to be a disgusting thing overall. But it's like, but I'm putting in sugar and sweetness and like love and all this other stuff, and it's like, yeah, but you're allowing the salt to come in, which is not a problem in small doses, but if it's like cups and cups of salt, it's going to make it taste terrible. So tell them to like go away. Make a very calm decision to leave. Leave that story behind. Live your life. You've got the Page of Wands coming through. And, oh, the King of Pentacles. Being far more in command of your life. I've been watching and listening to a lot of British period TV shows and books. Don't know why, it's just like coming up. But like, it was a time where a lot of men and women was quite different, right? And I think some people even these days, I would see them as more incels, but I don't want to just broadly stroke too many people with that. But like, some people still want that kind of ideal, right? The women have no real control over their own sovereignty or money. That kind of more property, or like seen as lesser than. A lot of these books don't really touch on that, but that was part of the reality back then, right? The first son, even if they had like, I don't know, 10 daughters first, like the first son would be the one that inherits everything. Women were seen as lesser than, that's why they had to have a dowry, so that they could make up for them not producing anything, which is, I don't know, it boggles the mind sometimes when I think about it, but we're in a very much different time. But what I'm trying to get to is, very long-windedly, is becoming more sovereign and remaining in command of your own human life, like getting back to the things that are really important. I love the little blue socks too. I don't know. Well, actually, I do know, it's because it's my favorite color, obviously, with the name. But just like, I don't know, it's kind of like, you know what? I remember my past and my emotions. I know where I've got to get to here. I made a very clear decision to break the cycle, to get out of a situation, to no longer not just get out of it physically, but get out of it mentally as well. And I did that, and I made that. So what does this mean for, like, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with the situation? It's recognizing what's from the past and what's in your present future, like, not present future, what's in your reality right now, which could be how I feel, how I deal with certain people, what's toxic, what's not. What am I feeling? Like, you know, reality check with what's real now and what is a story from the past that I am knowingly or consciously or subconsciously replaying, and then make a decision to decide, how do I shift some of that energy? How do I turn the salt that was like 1 cup into half a teaspoon, where that's the perfect amount of salt for this cake, right? Whatever, that kind of thing. And then, I don't know, this feels like Runaway. Do you know that song, Runaway? If you want to survive, like that kind of thing. You don't have to run, but it's just like, this is like living, choosing the self, to let go. This feels like freedom too, this little bird. You know how they release doves to show peace and stuff? Even though I hope that they are safe, but, you know, regardless of like the nitty gritty, the idea of it is to show peace and freedom. And this is a little swallow, it looks like. So they've got that long V tail. Maybe a swift? I don't know. I can't remember all birds. But this idea of freedom, it's like forgiveness is freedom. Moving on is freedom. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to pull one more card just as like a, hey, this is the last little message for you to take in heart, I guess, is how it comes through. To take to heart. Yeah, okay. The King of Pentacles, with this card coming through, talking about materialism. This isn't about necessarily getting into a space where the outside world becomes more important than the inside. This is just like a recognition that the outside will reflect the internal, because when you start shifting your narrative, right, of what you think the outside is going to fix the inside, like if you get put into, I mean, maybe that does help, like if you win millions and millions of dollars and you don't have to worry about this, that, or the other, but you still carry everything within you. The money can't buy that away. It can help with costs of like therapists and stuff, but that doesn't mean that it just, it initially doesn't just heal it. But you got Aswang and the Pelecitos, exploit desire and materialism. This has to be done honestly. This can't be just done in a fancy or a dream. If you really want to clear this energy, you got to be very, very honest. Even this talks about addictions, right? Exploitation. It could even touch on, like, if you're like, oh, I don't know what this is, it could go back to something really deep and dark, which is up to you if you want to reopen that door with the intention of, instead of closing it, but locking it and, I don't know, burning down the house, whatever. But yeah, hopefully that helps anyway. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, thank you for letting me read for you today. Look after yourself and be kind to yourself as well. And with that, I will see you in the next reading.